The Run to Remember, the Oklahoma City Memorial Marathon, headed our way. We're just days away. It's later this month, Sunday, April 29th. Here to tell us all about it, Kari Watkins, the race director. She's also the Oklahoma City Memorial Marathon and executive director of the Oklahoma City National Memorial Museum. The lady next to me, Jordan Wood, the Memorial Marathon operations director. Guys, great to see you again.
Thanks for having us.
Good to see you.
It is always, it's a somber event and one that's of reflection, but it's also a fun event, Kari.
It really is the most fun thing we get to do all year, and it's about celebrating lives and celebrating the future, and it gives us time to remember, to pause and remember, but also to look to the future and to celebrate what we have and what we've accomplished. And the best part about it is how many of the 168 families are amongst the runners or cheering or putting on medals, and they're there to celebrate as well. And if we can't celebrate and honor, then we've made a mistake, and we feel like we do that very well. And I think they feel like it's kind of their time to say thank you for helping us to remember even 23 years later.
How have you pulled it off this many years? I mean, there is a ton of people involved working this, but also participating.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's a whole lot more than just the two of us. It's thousands of people, runners, who say, I'm going to lace up and go run or walk. Or crawl or whatever, however they get there. And there's lots of volunteers, great staff, and tremendous board that just help guide this and keep us on point and mission. And we have a conscience committee that helps kind of making sure that when we have a tough question, we can go to them. And we just have some great people who come to the table and put it all out and just work very hard to pull this off.
Jordan, at what point do you start working about next year's marathon?
The next day.
Right,
We're
really?
ready.
Next day, Monday morning,
Yes.
You're like, okay, what are we doing next year?
Yes, yes.
You know, I've participated in this event 5 or 6 times. It is just as much fun to be on the asphalt as it is to be on the sidewalk.
I believe that. We've never gotten to run it, but everybody we hear that runs it says they're glad they did it, and they're glad they signed up and did it. And to the volunteers who cheer along the course, they have a lot of fun too. To people who drive in to cheer or come downtown to cheer, they seem to love it. It really is an event for all people, and it's an event for the entire city. So we go from in front of the Memorial Museum through downtown, up Lincoln Boulevard, 23rd, through neighborhoods, winding through the neighborhoods up to through Nichols Hills, the Village, out Britton Road to the lake, and then head back down. And so no matter where you live, there's a place to go and wave a flag or clap or scream and, just be a part of it. It's really, you'll be glad you did it. And I tell you, one thing I want to say is the churches we impact, because that's their day of business. And they have figured out how to embrace the race and get around it and make a ministry of it in their own way. And some people have you running through the church halls for water and prayers or church or songs or water, and whatever it is. And others have figured out how to just serve and just to be what the church is meant to be. And it's really amazing to see a city of so many churches just come to the streets with those people on a Sunday morning and serve. It doesn't happen in any other city. I've seen it that way.
You know, I mentioned on the sidewalks. I think I ran the second marathon that you ever had here. The encouragement from the people on the sidewalks, it makes an amazing amount of difference. As a participant, that really fuels you.
Yes.
We saw Josh Evans on the way out of here from Energy FC, and I believe they're helping out with this, perhaps a water stop this year?
Yes, they are returning Relay Exchange. They are very proud of
Gotcha.
it, and our relay runners love seeing them out there along the course.
Well, an example of the various organizations, you mentioned churches, but there's a lot of organizations here locally that help out, that participate.
Yeah, I'd say most of the major companies have some role. Either they've helped us put the race on, or they're helping hand out water or medals, or somewhere along the course they're helping, or their employees are helping. And it's a great way to come together and explain why we do this. And as we now reach a new generation of employees in the city, maybe they weren't working here or didn't live here at the time. Maybe they were very little, or maybe they weren't even born. Is that we have a responsibility to teach this story as we move forward. And so it's great to see the companies come together and the organizations, schools help along the course. McGinnis, does a great Irish Alley. I mean, there's some really great stories along the course, and that's about teaching the story and keeping the memory alive, and it's very important.
Lots of things to segue off of that, but let's go right there with the teaching, and we have curriculum in front of me. What are we looking at here?
This has been a long-time dream of ours, and Jordan can jump in here because she played a big part too, but we wanted to teach the kids why they were running. They were signing up for the kids' run. We sell that race out every year, but they didn't necessarily know why we ran. And the teachers were overloaded. So we wanted to give them something that they could put in their hands and they could go teach the importance of this race. So it talks about a character word, it talks about an exercise, it talks about why we run. Darcy Lynn Farmer, the America's Got Talent, did the character words for us. She and her friends did a great job. And it really just turned out to be, the teachers have been overwhelmed by it and loved it. And so we were really proud of putting that in their hands for the last 4 months, 4 lessons for the last 4 months. And then the kids train each week at school. So that's been great. Now we're a little concerned because kids have now missed a week and a half of school. We're going to hold a training run tomorrow at the Memorial Grounds at 1:30. We'll have some great runners out there. Mark Bravo and some of our team will be out there running.
Cool.
And parents can bring their kids down. We're going to have the Y bring kids over here running and just run around the site and get their miles in, get some energy burned off, and just making sure they're logging their miles, because come April 29th, we want to make sure they've gotten their miles logged so that they're ready to run the last 1.2 miles. And the kids' marathon is very important.
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting. It's a really good idea. Wednesday, April 11th is what she's referring to at 1:30 p.m. The kiddos to run around the site there. Digging into this is well thought out. 16 parts, correct?
Yes, 16 parts. We had a lot of feedback from previous school group captains who have been with our race for a very long time to help kind of build the curriculum, our education department. We worked with a curriculum team to develop this, and it's just been really awesome to be able to provide this curriculum to the teachers who are already working so hard to get bodies just out to the kids marathon, and be able to train that next generation of runners and get them to buy into the Memorial mission and get them to eventually graduate up to the 5K, to the relay, the half, the marathon. That's our goal. And so to be able to just provide this education that they can just implement has been really awesome.
Is this directly to the schools? Where can people obtain this curriculum?
Yes, anyone who is registered for the kids race can get a digital copy to it, and then we've been mailing printed copies for every school that's signed up, and we have over 60 school groups that are
The videos are all available online to the registered runners. I think the best part is, just to hear from the parents and the teachers saying, wow, my kids came home telling us about this story, they're intrigued by this, they've learned this. And I think that the writers did a great job of putting it in a way that kids can digest it and understand it. They're growing up in a different generation than we did, and so terrorism and mass murders is different than it was when I was their age. And so we tried to present it to them on a level they could grasp it and process it and understand why we built the memorial, why we have this race every year, why it's important to remember. And I think they're part of that. I think they know by running the race that they're playing a part in keeping that story alive.
This was tailored, I believe, to specific age range here. Did you guys put that into consideration? Hey, here is the message we want for this group of kiddos.
Yeah, we did kindergarten through 6th grade, and it's actually in 2 different divisions within that. So it's a younger group and then the older group, and tailored to each of those segments so that the amount of information they can digest is written to their level.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, gotcha. What about the teacher walkout? How has that affected the Memorial Museum? Have you seen a lot more students? Well,
we're missing school groups every day. We have a great Call to Change program that we have with 9th grade students in Oklahoma City Public Schools, and we're every day, today and tomorrow is supposed to be U.S. grant. So we're missing those schools as we speak, and we hate that. Not really. I mean, the revenue is a small part of that, but what most importantly, because that's paid for by donors, most importantly is we want to have a chance to change these kids' lives. And so I think, depending on how long the walkout goes, and I've looked at some numbers, we could have missed out on 4,000 or so students over 2 weeks' time, which is a significant number of kids not to learn the story. So we've got to figure out how to get those back in an already booked schedule, depending on when they come in. We have a great new augmented reality program we want to roll out to the schools, but again, we got to get back to school so we can do that. And I think it's a debate we could have all day long as a state, and it's not a political debate we want to get in the middle of. But I do think what we saw during the bombing was a coming together of a city and a state like we've never seen before. And I think we got to get back there in the next few days and figure out how to compromise and come to the middle. And that means we'll have kids back in the classroom, kids back in the museums, all around the city and the state, and kids at the start line on April 29th. And that's important for a lot of reasons.
Chatting with Kari Watkins and Jordan Woods about that Oklahoma City Memorial Marathon Sunday, April 29th. Kari, I typically catch up with you at the finish line every year to chat about the various challenges that you have overcome for that race, whether it be weather or whatever. Some challenges perhaps this year, and perhaps some questions on people's minds. Automobile Alley and the various construction around downtown Oklahoma City.
Well, we just drove through there on the way, and I can see why people are concerned, but we have met with them even as late as this week, and they promise us, and they're working very hard to make sure it's done. On the way down, they were putting up the Memorial Museum trolley stop for the streetcar, and so we see great progress, and progress does take patience, and I think for all of us. And you know, the corner here is under repair as we speak, and so it seems like we're watching them pouring in some and digging some out, and it does make your stomach hurt. But they say it'll all be ready, or at least be patched over and safe for runners. And the city has never let us down. I don't think they're going to start this year, and so I think it takes the city folks, the contractors. I mean, it takes the police and fire, so many people within the city to make this run possible. And I think, you know, weather is always our friend or foe, depending on where we are.
No telling with Oklahoma.
We have no idea. Like. Jordan was asking for weather forecast today from our guy, and he's like, I'm not going there yet. And so we're going to focus on April 19th first, which is next Thursday, and figure out where we will be outside or inside, and that'll depend on if the storm comes through on time or the day before, and that's what we're keeping our eye on today in the next few days, and then we'll turn to the marathon as soon as we can. But there are a lot of challenges, and all of us are worrying about them and all the time, and I think we just have to do the very best we can and make decisions for the safety and security of not just the runners, but the spectators and the overall city at large.
Well, you have an experienced crew and a staff that's been through this a few times ago. I remember a year or two ago, the day before, Saturday, was a very severe storm. There were trees down everywhere.
Yeah.
But to your point about the city workers and the emergency workers, I mean, they worked hard and it was clear.
Yeah.
It was an impressive performance.
Yeah, we went to that emergency management meeting at 1 o'clock last year on that Saturday, and I think we stepped in with our crew that takes care of the memorial grounds. They went to Jefferson Park, and they got there, and people from Jefferson Park were already clearing. I mean, it was remarkable to see people what they had to do to get the race route ready. And it was fun to hear from the runners as they were running saying, wow, we had no idea what you had to do to clear the course. I would say last year at 7 a.m. on Saturday morning, I wasn't sure the race was going to happen. But once again, people came together and figured it out. And I think that Oklahoma standard, that spirit of what we've seen, of people coming together, we got to just keep remembering that. No matter what challenge we go through as a state or as a city, we got to just remember we can come together, and there's not much we haven't been able to figure out yet. And so whatever obstacles looking us in the face, we got to just figure that out together.
My coworkers and I joke every day coming to work, it seems like a different lane is closed, but I will say this much, and I go up and down Automobile Alley, Broadway, a lot of times every day. Late at night, they are working on the streets, so it's not like you see a construction zone and nothing happening. There's a lot of activity.
And I tell you what, I mean, those business people who are trying to keep their businesses open on Automobile Alley, I mean, we have a lot of respect for them. Jordan's working with them. We've offered them some specials in our race bag, and
cool.
And we feel like they are our backdrop for the finish line, and so we try to be really friendly, but we do inconvenience them in some ways, and so we work hard with them, and you know we'll see how that develops over the next year or so as the streetcar goes in. But progress does take patience, but people still got to stay in business, and so I think we appreciate the fact that the company has been working nearly around the clock to get the streetcars in, and that's weather dependent. But they have assured us, and we've looked at some notes this morning, it'll be in or covered up in a way that there's no safety issue.
Good stuff. Again, the Memorial Marathon coming up Sunday, April 29th. More information at OKCMarathon.com. Jordan, people can still participate and register to some extent, right?
Yes, it is not too late to register, and it's also not too late to start training for any of our races. Registration is still open and will be open until we sell out.
Very good. Jordan Woods and Kari Watkins, always good to catch up with you ladies. Best of luck with everything, and thank you very much for this conversation.
Thank you.